Okay, NVIDIA just made a big move in cloud gaming. It expanded its GeForce NOW platform with more games, more features, and deeper integration with players' existing libraries. And every time something like this happens, the same question comes up again. Are consoles eventually going to become obsolete? Because the promise of cloud gaming has always been simple: play high-end games without needing expensive hardware. If streaming keeps improving, we might be heading towards a future where the most powerful gaming device you need is just your internet connection.
I am honored to tell you.
All right, so what NVIDIA is actually doing, the company is expanding GeForce Now and new supported games, stronger platform features, and easier ways for players to connect their libraries from services like Steam and other storefronts. The goal is to make cloud gaming feel less like a separate ecosystem and more like an extension of the games you already own. But the big debate remains, can cloud gaming really replace traditional hardware? Because while the technology keeps improving, things like internet speed, latency, and ownership concerns still raise big questions on whether streaming can truly compete with consoles and PCs. All right, so let me just say, I am not a fan of NVIDIA. I'm not a fan of NVIDIA moves and business practices or anything that they do. I probably will never support NVIDIA in any type of form or fashion if I can do so, because I am a firm believer of not supplying dumbasses with my money. And I'm going to use such strong language because NVIDIA you can only play our games or service our games for a number of hours and you have to pay the same price, and the whole fucking shit that they launch about the whole fucking, you can only, I think, what was it, 100 hours or something? It was something fucking outrageous. And only 15 of those hours rolled over. Listen, I thought people were going to fucking riot. But maybe NVIDIA gaming GeForce is not that big. I should have looked at the numbers. Forgive me, I didn't even think to look it up as I talk. Listen, maybe it just didn't have enough player count to really piss people off. Now, some people commented, hey, I work, I'm not gonna play over 100 hours, but it became such a it was a nasty business move because it started putting a price on time, and I find that to be very dangerous as technology and gaming evolves and this cloud shit forever evolving. But whatever, that's not this topic. Let me focus. Expanding cloud gaming. Listen, can this replace consoles? I'm gonna be honest, this is the narrative that Xbox and Microsoft had all those years ago, where they said, hey, eventually we want to go away from hardware and we want you to be able to tap in and play our games on anything. That's why the whole, hey, you're not a PC gamer, you're not an Xbox gamer, you're not a PlayStation gamer, you're a fucking gamer. So if you game on your fucking TV, we want the money from that. You game on your fucking Steam Deck, we want the money from that. You game on your fucking phone, we want the money from that. That's where that whole narrative came from. So I gotta choose my words very carefully because I am a digital game buyer. I like the conveniency. I haven't been inconvenienced enough to be like, oh, I need to buy shit very physically. So I get the whole attraction of cloud gaming. Let me not ever sound like a fucking hypocrite. I understand because I buy digital games. I haven't bought a physical game in years. I can probably hear people gasp. I don't like NVIDIA though at the end of the day. So fuck NVIDIA at the end of the day. I say fuck everybody, they do something shady, but very much fuck NVIDIA. Can this replace consoles? Listen, I think we're decades out from that ever being a real debate because people, it's just traditionally accustomed to buying hardware, whether that's PC or Xbox or PlayStation, Nintendo. Listen, I don't think Nintendo is ever gonna put their shit up for any other platform because they just believe our shit is our shit and we rather close the doors before you can play our shit on any other type of platform, whether that's cloud gaming or any other console. So I feel like studios are never going to allow that to happen. PlayStation is never going, they are going to beat they fucking life in before they say, hey, we're not going to sell you a fucking console every 6 to 7 years. That's how PlayStation make money. They're not like Microsoft. They don't have big dick Microsoft money like Xbox does. So they very much lifespan and life is dependent on these consoles. Hell, they sell you a main generation upgrade every 7 years, and then they sell you a refresh version, the PS5 Pro, within the next 3 years or 4 years, wherever it is. So listen, I don't think Sony, especially Sony, let me say that. I don't think Sony and Nintendo is ever going to allow you to get out of purchasing hardware because it's not in their best interest. Their infrastructure and all that is not in place for that. Now, Microsoft and Xbox, that's a whole different bag of bananas. Okay, you know we don't know what the fuck they're doing at any given day. I mean, they just fired their fucking head person. They're saying all this hoopla and making all these blank checks that they ass probably can cash in 3 years. But I would say that Sony and Nintendo is not going to allow you to do away with hardware purchasing every so many years because the whole business models, their whole lifespan and survivability is dependent on the hardware, and the hardware is dependent on their exclusives. So they speculate to accumulate hardware and exclusives. So I don't see that happening in the next 10 plus years. And you can say, oh, well, in 15 years, something could be different for Sony, especially. I think Nintendo is going to die and live by hardware. Sony, yeah, maybe something can change in 15 years, but I doubt it. If I was a betting motherfucker, I doubt they'll ever wake up a day and say, hey, you don't need to buy a PlayStation. Because they already copyrighted PlayStation 6, 7, and 8. So that should tell you where their mindset heading. But Infamous, what do you think? Do you think cloud gaming could? I already know your answer, but I'll just ask for the sake of the video.
Hell no. Cloud gaming ain't gonna overtake console. Cloud gaming in itself is still struggling. You're not toppling or disrupting anybody's business model, especially consoles. And you've already kind of broken down to a degree, so I'm not going to harp on this too much longer. But PlayStation is in the business of selling consoles. Nintendo is in the business of selling consoles. Those Japanese people, they're very stubborn. They're very, very unlikely to change their ways, especially if it's something tried and true, works, and they're good at it. This cloud gaming shit, this is the Americans trying to nickel and dime and take the easy route, and it just ain't working. Because if it was, the adoption rate would be going through the roof.
Yeah.
The network infrastructure around states will be going up. These companies will be pumping billions into making sure everyone's internet is...
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Some people ain't got good internet.
Because you have people who live in rural areas where internet ain't great. It's no gaming. And while they make sure, hey, I can go ahead and play and do all this. So it's cloud gaming to some people. That's like, hey, that's a dream. They're like, cloud. I play it through my TV. What? They don't know what the hell you talking about with that. No, that ain't happening. They ain't happening. And as long as you have Nintendo around, there will be physical somewhere. Some people are going to buy it. That's just how it is.
Hardware is never going away for Nintendo.
Hardware ain't going away because 2 out of the 3 major players, they have seen success. Nintendo and Microsoft, they sell consoles. That's their bread and butter. They make the moolah from the hardware. No, that ain't happening.
Nintendo and PlayStation.
I'm sorry, Nintendo and PlayStation.
Yeah,
no,
Microsoft.
I don't believe this is going anywhere.
Yeah, Microsoft. They, like I said, their minds are in outer space sometimes. And who knows? Maybe I said, hey, either in 5 years they're gonna look like geniuses or they're gonna continue to look like dumbasses. I said that on past Microsoft and Xbox videos. So, but yeah, no, consoles and hardware sales. It's just too much of a business model for Sony and Nintendo. As long as, listen, you always gonna have Nintendo selling hardware. There's no way around it. So 1 out of 3 is always gonna sell hardware, and really it's 2 out of 3 because, bro, Sony sold off so much of their other businesses like TVs and DVD makers and cameras and blah blah blah. Yo, so much of the dependency of the longevity and the lifeline of the company is dependent on console sales. So listen, that's why they brag that the PS5 sold over 90 million. Like they are very braggadocious about that, and that's not by accident. So, and they're not gonna ever let there be a generation where they cannot have the opportunity to then again sell 90 million consoles. They even brought out this little dumbass little handheld shit, whatever, at one point. So they're not getting out of hardware. This is a pipe dream, and fuck NVIDIA at the end of the day. They doing nasty shit in all facets of business, whether that's fucking CPUs, GPUs, whatever the fuck they sell, and overpricing and charging $5,000. Fuck NVIDIA. But listen, could streaming eventually replace consoles? Let me ask you, the viewership, to comment down in the comment sections below. Let us know what you think and how you feel, and we'll definitely see you there.
And that's it for this video of Are You Not Entertained podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you'll never miss our next hot take. Until next time, Are You Not Entertained?